list manipulation. So basically, we're trying to manipulate the list by, say, we take an item out, we include an item, we find the index position of an item, and so on and so forth. Let's try a few use cases here. Let's say we want to know what is the first item in this list. Okay, we can see that the first item is yogurt, the second item is raisins. First item does not mean the number one item. If you're looking at the index position of this is not the first index, this is the zero index, because Python is a zero-based index language. In order to find out what is on the first number one of the list, we will use the square bracket as a search criteria. Tell me what is on the one index, the number one index. We know we start from zero. The number one index is going to be raisins. If I execute that, I get raisins. Okay, let's do a quick question. Yes, we can find out an item, but can we pick up 3 items or 4 items at the same time? Let's try this. Let's pick from the second item to the first fourth item. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do, because it's the second item, and the second item is raisins, to the fourth item is oat, and that means I'm looking at from the one position to the fourth position. So I'm going to say from 1 to 4. So from 1 to 4. The next question is, if my son came back to me and said, Dad, can I take away raisins from the list? So I no longer want raisins. How do I go about doing that? Now, that's where the list search function, the square bracket, becomes important. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to say delete this from the list, so that when I say print the list now, I no longer have raisins in the list. So I said delete an item from the list. In order to add an item to the list, what we do is what? We either append or we what? Extend. Now, if we append, it's going to add a member to the list. If we extend, it means we have a second list that we're trying to extend list 1 into list 2, basically combining the two lists. Sometimes we may want to find the index position of an item in a list. So what we did earlier was using the index position. We know what the index position is. The zeroth item, the first item, the second item. We know that. And we just want to know what that is. However, let's say we pick oat and we want to know what is the index position of oat. Is this the first item, the second item? What is the index position of oat? That's where the index function comes in quite handy. And what we're just going to do is that we're going to call on the shopping list dot index position of what are we interested in. Let's say we want to know the index position of oats in our new shopping list because we only have 4 items now. Let's say I'm looking for oats. This will return to me the position of oats. I expect to get 2, which is the second position of oat. So that's where the index, the function index itself becomes handy. It allows you to know, okay, what is the position of an item in that list. Sometimes we don't want to extend a list and we don't want to append to a list, but we want to create a new list that have multiple lists in it. For example, we had the shopping list from the very top. We had the shopping list 2, and we have the shopping list 3. We may want to create these 3 lists into a new one. So we have a combined list. So what we're going to do is create a list. So let's say combined S list. Okay, is equals to a square bracket, our shopping list 1, comma, our shopping list 2, and our shopping list 3. That will create a new list for us, which is the combined of the 3 lists we currently have. Look at that. So you can see it's lists, multiple lists in a list. You can see I've got 2 square brackets at the beginning here and at the end here. And what that means is that this first one is for this. That's the first list. This is the second list. And this is the third list. All of them in a list. So this is my what? Combined list. So I have 3 items in that list. And every other function we've used today on our list works on this as well. Now, we need to pay attention to the fact that in this list, we have only 3 elements. No, that's not true. Actually, that is very true. We have only 3 elements. So if we were to say combine list, and we're looking for index position 1, it's going to return to us this yogurt. See? In fact, what we could do is to find the length of a list, which is one of the function of a list. So we can do len of our list. See, it says it's 3 items. That's because even though they are lists on their own, but because we combine them into a new list, it's only having 3 elements. Now, the trick is this. Let's say I want to return an item from the third element of the list. So let's write it. On the second element of the combined list. What are we talking about? We got 3 elements in combined list. The first one, the second one, and the third one. But here they're saying return the second element of the third element of combined list. So the keyword here is what? Third element of combined list. What is the third element of combined list? This is the third element of the combined list. We are looking for what? The second element of that. This is still the same logic. What we need to do is to remember that we're searching for element of a list. Since the list we're actually interested in is a sub list of our main list. So we need to first specify what we are interested in the main list. What we're interested in the main list is the third element, which is going to be what? 2. Now, to search inside of this third element of the combined list, right, which is going to be the sublist, we use another square bracket. And we are interested in the second element, which is going to be what? 1. So what we're looking for is this list in the combined list, but we are interested in the second element, which is going to be what? 500. Here we go. So the story here is when you're searching for elements of a sublist, you need to use 2 square brackets. The first one will represent the main list, and the second square bracket will represent the sub element.